Ego. It's a word we hear a lot, and it's usually associated with arrogance, pride, or an inflated sense of self. But what exactly is the ego? And what happens when it dies? Today, we'll be exploring the concept of ego death, what it really means, how it's been understood throughout history, and whether or not it's something we should strive for. What is the ego? At its core, the ego is the identity you've constructed for yourself. It's how you see yourself and how you think others see you. The ego is responsible for that voice in your head, constantly narrating your life, telling you what to think, how to behave, and how to respond to the world around you. This part of your mind is useful. It helps you navigate society, protect yourself, and achieve your goals. But when it dominates, the ego can limit your perspective and prevent you from seeing the bigger picture. The ego often fuels low confidence, self-doubt, the need for external validation, and emotional fatigue. It creates an ongoing desire to protect your image, constantly demanding that you prove yourself to the world. What is ego death? Ego death isn't about erasing who you are. It's about loosening the grip that your constructed identity has on you. It's a profound shift in awareness where you temporarily transcend your self-image and see beyond the story you've built around yourself. This allows you to experience life free from the limiting beliefs and judgments that often control your behavior. Historically, many spiritual traditions have referenced ego death. In Buddhism, ego death is a key step towards enlightenment, the realization that the self is an illusion. Similarly, Hinduism teaches that the true self, or Atman, is distinct from the ego. These traditions emphasize shedding the false layers of identity to connect with a deeper, universal consciousness. In essence, ego death enables you to step outside of the mental prison that your ego builds, freeing you from the need to constantly defend, justify, or validate your existence. It's not a permanent state, but a temporary awakening to a more expansive understanding of who you are. The spiritual dimension of ego death. Ego death, when viewed through a spiritual lens, is a profound form of awakening. It's the dissolution of the boundaries that separate the individual self from the rest of the universe. For centuries, spiritual seekers have pursued this dissolution as a means to experience unity with something greater, whether it be the divine, universal consciousness, or simply a more profound sense of awareness. In this state, the ego's illusions of separation dissolve, and you experience life from a place of deeper connection, clarity, and compassion. Spiritual practices such as meditation or mindfulness are often seen as gateways to this experience. By quieting the constant chatter of the mind, you allow your deeper self to emerge, free from the ego's constraints. Ego death and psychedelic experiences. There's another aspect to ego death that has fascinated people throughout history: its connection to psychedelic experiences. Indigenous cultures and mystics have long used substances like ayahuasca or psilocybin in sacred rituals. These practices were not for recreation, but to transcend the ego and connect with a higher state of consciousness. During a psychedelic experience, many report feeling a profound loss of the sense of self. This often mirrors descriptions of spiritual ego death, a temporary state where the boundaries of identity dissolve and a feeling of interconnectedness with the universe takes over. Now, to be clear, this isn't a recommendation to use psychedelics. The point is that this ego dissolving experience, whether induced through spiritual practices or altered states, has been a recurring theme across many cultures and epics. It highlights a deep human yearning to break free from the ego and experience something greater. Is ego death a good thing? So, is ego death a good thing? The truth is, it depends on how you approach it. Ego death can be a transformative experience, revealing truths about yourself and your place in the world that were previously hidden behind layers of self-imposed barriers. It can lead to greater humility, gratitude, and a sense of unity with others. However, ego death isn't about annihilating your identity. It's about understanding that your ego is not the entirety of who you are. It's a tool, a construct you've created to navigate life. When you transcend it, you gain a broader perspective, but the ego still serves a purpose when you return to your everyday life. Think of it like this: ego death is a glimpse beyond the surface of reality, a temporary state that allows you to see the world without the filters of your ego. But when it's over, you come back with a deeper understanding, allowing you to interact with the world from a more balanced, grounded place. The truth about ego death. In the end, ego death is not the end of self. It's an opening. It's an opportunity to break free from the limitations and judgments that hold you back. While the experience can be profound, it's not a permanent state, nor is it something to fear. Ego death is a tool for growth, a way to peel back the layers and get to the core of who you really are, free from the constant need for validation or control. It's up to you to decide if this is a journey you want to embark on, but understanding what ego death really means gives you the power to approach it with awareness, whether through meditation, mindfulness, or simply reflecting on the concept itself. Ego death is ultimately about freedom, freedom from the shackles of the self you think you have to be. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be.